graders, sorry that I can't be here again today, but I want to make sure that we're moving along and still learning. Again, remember that I have postponed your test until Monday. I will be here tomorrow so that we can review and go over everything and all the questions that you probably have from me being gone. So until then, I'm going to have this lesson number 2 for you. This is section 5, lesson 2. Please do take notes, and if you have questions, just write them down in your notebook, and then I'll answer them when I get back. And like I said, I will be back tomorrow. All right, this is all about soil. What is soil exactly? Well, soil is made of rocks, organic matter, water, and air. We talked about rocks in the last chapter, weathered rocks. So these are rocks that have been broken down by mechanical or chemical processes. And now they're tiny little rocks that you can see make up what looks like this mixture of what we call soil. And now some of you probably know what organic matter is, but some of you are wondering, organic matter, it's organic, and we talked about organic in 7th grade. Organic means it used to be living. So can you think of anything that used to be living? Maybe like plants or animals. Now plants and animals that die become organic matter. So you're thinking of dead leaves, dead grass, and animals, you know, that deer that you saw on the side of the road when you came to school this morning. Eventually it'll decompose and it'll become organic matter, part of the soil. All right, another major part of the soil are called pores. And pores, they're the little holes and spaces in rock. You can identify this in your life. You can think about like the pores in your skin. Well, they're like tiny little holes in your skin that let your skin breathe. Pores in soil are the same thing. They are little holes, little pockets in the soil that are composed of air. See how it says air up in that soil is a mixture of other rocks? The air is the pores part. If I'm going too fast, I will leave a notes sheet right in the front. I made a couple printouts, and you can just copy them down from there. Otherwise, you can have your instructor pause the video. Okay, like I said already, the organic part of the soil is the leaves, the dead animals, and also insects. This creates a new part of the soil, but because the breakdown is so slow and it takes so long, it really makes it a long time before you can get any amount of soil. So soil is really very important because we use it for so many different things. All right, decomposition. Does anybody have a compost pile at home? I know we had a compost pile at home, and then I worked at this garden place, and we had this huge compost pile. And the guy who was in charge, he would come out, and he would always show off a little experiment to the elementary schoolers when they would come and visit. He would take some carrots and he would wrap them in tinfoil and put them in the compost pile. And many hours later, because the compost got really hot inside, it would cook the carrots. So the compost pile breaks down your kitchen stuff, your kitchen compost, the old celery and the old whatever else you had for dinner, broccoli. Good decomposition is part of the soil. It breaks down plants and animals. It makes the organic part. Organic meaning it was alive. Soil also has an inorganic part, which is made of minerals, sand, gravel, and clay. So the organic part is the living part. The inorganic part is the non-living part. Hopefully you got that. Sorry, I just skipped back. I'll give you a moment to record. All right, formation of soil. So how do you make soil? Well, you start with the parent material. Just like last year when we talked about the parent cell, and you start with the parent cell to make the daughter cells, formation of soil starts out with parent material. It's the beginning rock, the starter rock, that it weathers down, it breaks down the parent material breaks down into all tiny little parts of rock. When we went out into the cemetery for our walk, some of you were pointing at the gravel saying, look, it's broken down. And you were right, because yes, that is weathered rock. It came from really, really big rock. All right, so some things that can affect the formation of the soil is climate. What is the weather like? If the weather is rainy, then it'll weather the rocks down more quickly. If it's wet, the same thing. If it's cold, the rocks and the materials around will crack and undergo ice wedging. Topography. We talked about topography in the mapping chapter, with those topographic maps where we drew on our hands. Topography, based on where something is, the latitude and longitude of an area, it can make the soil be richer or not as rich, having good nutrients, or maybe a lack of nutrients. Here in Clark County, we are well known for our clay soil. If you go out, you can find that really, really mushy soil that doesn't dry so well. That's clay. Where I'm from, they have sandy soil. So it seems like it dries out faster than anything. All right, biota. It is what it sounds like. Remember your Greek prefixes? Bio meaning life, biota, it means all the organisms in an area. So the biota and the organisms can affect what type of soil it is. Some animals we named the other day, like moles, they dig down the ground, what did you call the gophers? They dig down too, worms, and all these organisms can create more pores and put more oxygen into the soil, creating different soil types. Like I said earlier, it takes a really long time to form soil. 500 years to make just a tiny little inch. 500 years to make an inch of soil. So it's really important that we do soil conservation. What does that mean? It means if you're going to build something, set aside the top layer of soil, the topsoil, to use for something else, because the topsoil is where the organic matter is, and that is what is really useful in growing crops. It's where a lot of nutrients are found. When you go out and you dig a hole, have you ever dug a hole? I'm sure everybody's dug a hole. And you see that like blackish part on top, and then you dig down and it's kind of like brown. Well, the blacker part, that's the topsoil part, and that's the really good stuff. That's the stuff where you want to be planting your things. Now we call the different layers of soil horizons, kind of like the sun, we look at the horizon. There's 5 horizons. Okay, so the top one is the O. It looks like a 0, but it's the O layer. O stands for organic. Organic leaves, organic matter. This is where you find your insects. Darkest layer. This is, like I said, when you dig your hole, the dark layer, that's the O layer, organic material. The second layer down is the A horizon, which is soft. It has a lot of nutrients, but it's not necessarily the dead things, like the dead top part. And the next layer is the B horizon, which is lighter in color. Like I said, you've dug down here. The top part, the O horizon, that's like the grass. The A, that's the dark color. Dig down deeper, it becomes lighter in color. The C layer, you may not have ever dug down this far, but it contains trying to get to some really bigger rocks containing weathered rock, weathered parent material. What happens is the parent material is way down deep underground, and it will be exposed to water, air, and eventually the rocks. Because of the rock cycle, they'll come up higher, and that's how the parent material gets from down low until the top. All right, the final layer is the bedrock. And bedrock, it's really hard. If I think of bedrock, I was thinking like Fred Flintstone over there with the bedrock. But bedrock's the very bottom layer. That is what we call the parent material. It's very hard, it's unweathered. So you have the unweathered material on the bottom, then you have slightly weathered, then you have the clay, and as it goes up, it's more and more weathered material. The top layer of the soil being the organic layer. If I'm going too fast, again, just have Ms. Pollock show you the notes that I've set aside. All right, here's a picture to show you what the horizons look like. Oh, it even has little inch markers on the side. So 0 inches down, you'll be at the O layer. If you go down 2 inches, then you'll be at the A layer. If you dig a hole that's deeper than 12 inches, according to this, but remember, based on topography and latitude and longitude, it can be slightly different. If you dig a hole that's more than 12 inches down, it looks like you'll be in the B layer. I doubt any of you have dug a hole that's much past 30 inches. I mean, that's really getting down there. But that would be the C layer. And you can see in the C layer, that's where there are more of those bigger rocks. And past that is where you'll find the parent material in the bedrock layer. If you look up in the A and the O, that's where the worms live. And if you look in the A and the B, that's where the roots grow down to. So those things are worth noting. There are 6 major soil types. There are 12 types because, so you see there's sandy, peaty, silty, chalky, clay, and loamy. There's actually 12 types because they take a type in between each. They'll say like loamy sandy, sandy peaty, and peaty just means it's made of peat. You might have seen that at the greenhouse before, peat. We have clay, and I think it's probably clay bordering on loamy here. Kind of interesting to see all the different soil types. Okay, last slide talks about soil